Hey guys, so I just finished watching The Death of Superman on 4K HDR and absolutely mind blown. That was a fantastic iteration of the Death of Superman storyline. We have the book, which was released in 1992, which was told over 3 issues. Basically, the first part was the brutal battle between Doomsday, the Justice League, and Superman, leading to his untimely death. The second one was Funeral for a Friend, where it covered all those people who were left behind and how they were dealing with the death of Superman. And then part three was The Reign of the Superman, where we had some imposters, possibly Superman being one of them, reappear on Earth, and then just the determination to who was the actual true hero. And it was a really, really nice way to wind it up. Movie form, we had the Doomsday Superman movie released a few years ago, back in 2007, which basically just covered the fight between Doomsday and Superman, with Adam Baldwin voicing Superman, Anne Hesh voicing Lois Lane, and James Masters, Spike, as Lex Luthor. It was a very basic telling of the story. Superman dies and then comes back, and it was pretty cool. I enjoyed that one quite a lot. And then, of course, we have the Death of Superman storyline in the DCU, now known as the Worlds of DC. The Batman vs. Superman movie and Justice League both touched on Doomsday and the Death of Superman storyline very briefly. For me, in the live action movies, it wasn't really earned yet. Superman wasn't quite the hero that he was destined to become in those movies. So his subsequent death and revival were kind of shallow for me personally, and I just felt it was a little bit too soon. However, now that the DC animated studios are doing these films, I'm quite impressed with this first film in the 2-part series they're doing. We've got The Death of Superman here, and then The Reign of the Superman coming out soon. This movie on its own was quite very surprisingly emotional. I did kind of find myself tearing up a little bit at the end there, so I couldn't believe it. But they kind of take their time telling the story. They build up Superman and his relationship with Lois Lane. In this one, Clark Kent and Lois are a couple. Lois is a little bit unsure of the relationship at this point because she doesn't know that Clark is Superman, and she just kind of knows that he's holding back from her. So we do have the introduction of Clark Kent revealing his secret identity to Lois Lane in this one, which played out really nicely. Jerry O'Connell once again returning to the voice role of Superman and Clark Kent, and Rebecca Romaine doing the voice work of Lois Lane, and Rainn Wilson as Lex Luthor. Now we do see the subsequent arrival of Doomsday on Earth. He's strapped to an asteroid which comes hurtling through space, lands on Earth in the ocean where he first meets the Atlanteans. Takes a couple of those guys out in some surprisingly, well, not violent, but this movie doesn't hold back on the red stuff. We do get a bit of blood in this film, which is cool. A story of this type, it's very violent. So yeah, it's good to have some of that represented on screen. And slowly but surely, Doomsday makes his way from the bottom of the ocean towards Metropolis, where he comes across most of the Justice League and quite promptly wipes half of them out quite vigorously. We've got Green Lantern, voiced by Nathan Fillion, taken down pretty quickly. Rosario Dawson as Wonder Woman, putting up a wonderful fight. Christopher Gorman as the Flash, providing the comic relief. There was a pretty good scene at the beginning where Superman took down some criminals in Metropolis and calls in Flash for backup, and basically assigned Flash the duty to clean up. That's pretty funny. Matt Lanter voices Aquaman, taken down fairly quickly. Shimar Moore as Cyborg. Nice voice work. Once again, everyone is really brutalized in this film. Jason O'Mara returning to voice Batman. Once again, pretty cool scene where Batman does his best against Doomsday. I mean, he's a human being against a super alien monster. He tries hard. And we're also introduced to Hank Henshaw in this one. At the beginning, he's an astronaut in space. The approaching meteor with Doomsday on it kind of takes his shuttle down, but we know that he's going to come back as Cyborg Superman in the next one. Well, you should know. And we're also introduced to John Henry Irons, voiced by Chris Williams, briefly in a scene with Cyborg and his father. So he'll be coming back as an iteration of Superman as well. Hopefully, I'm not spoiling any of this for you, but the Reign of the Superman is coming soon, and all these characters are being introduced in this film, and they will re-emerge in that next one. But if you know the story, then you already knew that. So the fight scenes themselves, yeah, very, very violent. The moment where Superman does actually appear in the fray, he's taking, like, Doomsday's taking down half the Justice League. So when Superman does actually turn up for the fight, it's quite a triumphant moment. I got chills. It was very, very cool. And the fight between Doomsday and Superman is suitably epic. It is very well done, and the animation, as always in these films, is spot on. Although the one criticism I can have about these animated movies is just the lack of other people in scenery. We usually only have the main players animated in the foreground, so these movies often do feel really underpopulated in regards to people. And then whenever we see traffic, it's just usually empty streets. I know it's not necessarily going to be something the animators are going to concentrate on. They're not going to populate these movies with hundreds and hundreds of characters, but it just does feel sometimes kind of empty in these films. But that's the only criticism I have. Generally, the animation is really beautiful, and on the HDR 4K format, yes, the colors are very, very vibrant in this thing. Superman's red cape is just popping off the screen. The explosions, the inky blacks. Batman's suit, for instance, is very, very dark, but you can still see all the detail of his suit quite easily. It's very, very nicely done. And then it was really nice also having a few little homages to Superman the movie, the old Christopher Reeve film. There's a line in that film where Superman is saving Lois from a helicopter falling off the Daily Planet. He grabs her, Durham is, I've got you, you've got me, who's got you? That line is in this movie as well. But there's a bit of a gender switch. And also there's a few post-credit scenes, and then one of the Supermen arrives at the Arctic and create the Fortress of Solitude, and it's a direct lift from those movies with the Crystal Palace. So that was in there too. Very well done. And then, yeah, Superman's death scene at the end of the movie was quite emotional. His farewell to Lois. It really did kind of tug at the heartstrings. It really did. I was quite surprised about how emotionally invested I was in the film. And that's the power of the storytelling and the animation and the voice work. This story is meant to be powerful. Superman is one of those iconic superheroes that the world just loves, and to have him die, yeah, it's going to affect each and every one of us, and it's represented and portrayed so wonderfully well in this movie. They pay homage to the book, and they tell the story right with respect and love, and it's one of the best DC animated movies out there. It really is. Giving it a rating, solid 9 out of 10. When it ended, I was just absolutely in love with this film. It entertained me, it moved me, and it told the story of the death of Superman perfectly. If only we could get a live action version that matched what this just did, that would be amazing. And now we're just waiting on the sequel, The Reign of the Superman. I have seen a sneak peek of that. I did a reaction to it further down in the channel. Looks cool, so I cannot wait to see what they do with that one. So yeah, that was my review on The Death of Superman on 4K HDR. Looks beautiful in the format. Animation just pops in this kind of resolution, and the HDR was just, animation is just built for HDR. It really is. It looks stunning. So anyway, guys, thanks for checking into my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.